You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
Actually, it's the lead play in our offense. We ask our YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet, get an isolation with the linebacker. Come to tackle, take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim, live in Green Bay. We got Jacob on the border of Minnesota and Wisconsin in here to talk a little Packers tonight, man. We got a bunch of stuff to cover. First of all, gentlemen, how we doing? Look at Tim, man. I'm dressed sharp over that. I can't tell if he's about to plow a field or run for governor. You know what I'm saying? My man got all the bases covered over there.
This is my good flannel. Put on my good flannel for you guys today.
I can't pull off the flannel, man. I look bigger than a whale if I put flannel on, man. So you're wearing it well there tonight. Jacob, I see you got the zipper down to the navel tonight, man. How you doing, bro?
I'm wearing a flannel too. You can't quite see that it is a flannel. I only pretty much wear flannels because it hides the fact that I'm rather boxy. And has more of like a slimming effect on me. So anyways, I'm good.
I think you can play the mic, man. Let's sign him up, Clayton. What do you think?
There you go. Yeah, I need to try that then, man, because I'm more round than boxy, to be honest with you. So that's probably.
Hey, I don't want to hear any complaints. I turn sideways and disappear. So don't.
I've heard people say before, "Hey, man, you look like you're in shape." I'm like, I'm a shape. Round is a shape.
A pear.
Not in shape. Yeah, kind of a pear. Yeah, that's more of it. Suffering from that no acetol, you know what I'm saying? That's going around.
Hank Hill disease.
Yeah, the Hank Hill disease, exactly. All right, so anyway, that's a perfect segue to give a shout out to a lot of stuff to cover. Really, it's funny, man. Every day I think, okay, it's going to go kind of quiet. Probably going to run out of topics. At any day now, we'll lean on the history, but man, it seems like every day something else drops, and we got plenty to talk about. Let's talk about some visits first of all. Jacob, Tim, I'm sure you guys seen this come across the wire. LSU defensive tackle Mason Smith had, I guess, posted this on Instagram and tagged Green Bay, Wisconsin as he was flying into town for a top 30 visit. So obviously big program there when it comes to the LSU Tigers. I was going to kind of see where Mason Smith is on my board real quick. Jacob, I guess we kick off with you, man. How do you feel about Mason Smith? Do you have anything on him right out of the gate?
LSU guy. A lot of people had him as one of those sneaky picks. I could see him being a Packers pick because once again, it's just a guy we haven't talked about. I know that he graded out fairly well in PFF, decent size. For whatever reason, it just hasn't been mocked to the Packers barely at all. I've never taken him, I don't think personally, in a mock draft, which doesn't mean anything, obviously, but it's just doesn't seem like it's on a lot of people's minds. And that's where I would just a penny for the thoughts of Goody and how they have that horizontal draft board. So, yeah, I see you have him. It's at 194.
Yep, 194. Correct. And I'm trying to think, did I actually pull the trigger? No, I went with Gabe Hall earlier today. We'll talk about that later. But so Mason Smith out of LSU, looks like he was the 200 highest graded defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman in 2022. Last year, he fell to 613. And then the consensus big board at the time had him in the 71 spot, though. So they had him pretty high. And then, of course, the 33rd team had him at 128. Again, he scored, I think, an 8+ in RAS. So pretty decent there as far as RAS score. And, again, interior defensive lineman from LSU. Tim, you got anything on Mason Smith? How do you feel about it? You think this is one of those I guess we're looking at probably, 5th, 6th round, I would imagine?
Something in that range. Yeah, I've got him 164 on mine and then 12th overall positionally. He's a motor guy, high motor guy. We talked about that one of those high motor defensive players. Doing donuts out there on him for sure. He's got the size. He's, an aggressive player. Based on my research, he's got a little bit of a issue getting off blocks. So that's something that they have to shore up a little bit with him. But no, I think in the, 4th or 5th round, he'd be a good value.
Gotcha.
Interesting that he's yeah, I like how he spells his name too. Mason Smith. I like that.
So evidently the consensus big board has him in the 68 spot. So I need to make sure we're leaning on the consensus big board. Obviously, that's the media that's kind of plugged in with everybody, and we want to make sure we're looking at it for potential draft position as opposed to my board. My board is more like, okay, here's what I personally think the value is. So we'll try to lean on this a little more. So again, Mason Smith, with that being said, could potentially be a 2nd to 3rd round pick if the consensus big board.
I mean, that's where I'm a little bit confused because I've seen a lot of people talking about how Rook and Michael Hall Jr. are possible sneaky picks in that late 2nd to 3rd round area. And I didn't see Mason Smith in that grouping. Obviously there with T'Vondre Sweat, I'm assuming that down 4 spots, that's all that this incident has cost him. I mean, he's kind of lucky, man. If that really is all the farther he's fallen to the 2nd round, that seems kind of crazy, but there is a decent grouping there of guys. You know what's crazy? Not to take it off topic or anything, but I listened to an athletic podcast today, and they had a draft specialist guy. Initially, I didn't quite know if I could trust him or, what his credentials were. But after listening to the whole podcast, I really think he knows what he's talking about. And in his opinion, he said there were only 4 star defensive players, meaning that they're going to make an immediate starting impact on a roster. And he had the 4 as Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Dallas. Who am I thinking of from
Dallas
Turner?
Dallas Turner and Lafe Latu. So, and that was it. He said everybody else he's not really sold on. And I thought, wow. But the other 2 that he had there were Byron Murphy and Jazon Newton as the next tier of guys that were just like, you got to get them on your team. So. Right. I don't know, man. It just kind of shakes things up, especially because now he also, in his opinion, talked about how Cooper DeJean, most NFL scouts see him as a straight up safety. A lot of them apparently are not looking at him as an outside boundary corner, maybe a slot corner, but most of them are looking at him as a safety. So does he fall possibly to 25? Where as of like yesterday, I would have thought no way. So it was a really interesting podcast.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing that's catching my attention is Johnny Newton. He peaked at 8. He's down all the way to 27 now. I don't know. Who knows if that's going to be accurate or not, but if you go by the consensus big board here, then Byron Murphy is hands down the best interior defensive lineman in the draft. And again, this doesn't matter. What matters is what true NFL team, NFL execs and what their board says, but just interesting there. And as far as the mock, they've got Braden Fisk going 45 to the Saints. Chris Jenkins, they've got him going to the Eagles at 53. Not if we have anything to say about it, right? And then, Aurora is 49 to the Bengals. So everyone else is just kind of a crapshoot, man, including Byron Murphy and Johnny Newton. Nobody really knows where they're going to fall to. Let's go to the chat real quick. We don't want to get too far behind, and then we'll go to the next visit. M. Smitty 1386 in the chat says, Clayton, I think your next mock you need to be banned from taking noob and laughing emoji. So we did
I'm not going to. So quit asking.
We did a mock earlier today. I cannot pass him up at 41, man. Like, he's in the top 30 on my board. Let's take a look at the consensus board. We haven't looked at that in a while. They've got him. He peaked at 35. He's currently sitting 46, and he's being mocked to the Titans at 38. Like, how can you not take him at 41?
What if we did Cooper DeJean at 25, and then we decide to play him at safety? Now at 41, what are we thinking? That's the only scenario I could see not taking Tyler Nubin with our 2nd pick.
That's a great point, Tim. That's a great point. And kind of like what we talked about with Rakestraw, could it be someone like with Cooper, you play him on the outside in the base and then kick him to the slot in the nickel. If you go that route too, and you just, okay, we're just going to play him at safety. Then at 41, do you go, forget Tyler Nubin. Let's go with an outside corner or maybe a slot. You know what I mean? Like, It's going to be interesting for sure. Jacob, be honest, man. Be brutally honest here. Am I off base taking Tyler Nubin at 41? Like, I can't pass it up, man. It's like you and Five Below, bro. I got to have all the deals.
No, I don't think you're off base at 41. I think that maybe at 25 we might be a little bit stretching, but again, who knows? Because like we're talking about here, and like D-Man says about here, the big boards can be whatever. When the bullets start flying, when the draft order never really follows exactly or anywhere even near what the draft pundits, the quote unquote experts, get paid to say. So I don't know, man.
Great point, man.
In my opinion, I wouldn't say that at 41 it's at all a stretch. But yeah, honestly, I love what Tim said. If we could get DeJean at 25, and then after that, I just feel like it's, you know, that secondary immediately becomes a little bit more intriguing there. So
might be something like DeJean at 25, and then Christian Haynes at 41 or something like that. You know what I mean? And
no, Christian Haynes won't get drafted by us. Peter Bukowski said so.
Mighty Jacob, why do you got to do this to me?
He does it for a living, so I just know it's going to happen.
He just cracks me up, man. How people they're so, and the same people that were screaming, "This will never happen, that'll never happen," and it happened, and they don't revisit that and go, "Hey, yeah, man, I was off on that." It's just on to the next. This will never happen. But anyway, let's not.
Well, the average person's reaction to our draft picks is usually,
"Who?" It's exactly right, man. I remember Quay Walker like it was yesterday. We were all like, "What? Okay, hold up a second."
Like, yeah, we knew him.
Exactly. Chris in the chat said, "I'm convinced you got to go cornerback in the first round for the best all-around draft." That's been the commonality this whole mock draft, extravaganza season here. Is if you don't take corner in the first round, you kind of feel like you're chasing your tail the rest of the draft, trying to make one make sense, But again, it doesn't matter what we think; it matters what does Goody's board look like. I know y'all get tired of hearing me say it because I get tired of saying it, but it's so true. Omer in the chat said 12 more days is all, then the mock drafts will end. So
man, that's crazy.
I say we do a mock draft just for Omer. Let's go right now.
I love how Omer hates the mock drafts, but he always mentions the mock draft. You know what I mean? Yeah, that works.
It's that Barbra Streisand effect.
I think he's a closet mock draft lover, to be honest with you. I think he's,
He just doesn't like our mock drafts. He probably just likes his mock drafts.
Hell, I don't like our mock drafts either. Omer, I'm on your side, buddy. All right, yeah, that's the thing, too. As soon as we get through with this mock draft season, guess what, Omer? Like Chris N says, 2025 mock draft starts. So
yep.
There you go. Get ready.
Yep.
D-Man in the chat said, "Big boards be damned." You already hit on this one, didn't you, Jacob?
Yeah, I said that.
Bullets, yeah, when the bullets start flying, the draft order never follows the draft pundits' predictions. I think we already hit on that again, but it's
Who's Mel Kiper anyway?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I don't know who he is.
You know who Mel Kiper is. He's got that good hair, man.
Looks like a
Who in the hell is Mel Kiper in a way?
I love, hey, rest in peace, Chris Mortensen. Hit it one more time, Tim, and look at Mort's eyes on this.
Who in the hell is Mel Kiper in a way?
He didn't blink. He's just like,
oh.
You love to see it. All right, we had us another visit. Get ready for this one. Our man at Easton Butler said the Packers are hosting University of British Columbia offensive lineman Giovanni Manu. I get Manu.
Who?
On a top 30 visit per the Schultz report. So, Jacob, you got anything on our guy here, man?
Other than the fact that clearly nobody told him they were about to take this picture because he
looks terrified.
He looks terrified. So I don't know. No, so British Columbia, forgive me if I'm not that smart, but is that Canada?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So we're drafting Canadians now.
Shout out to the T-Birds.
Yeah, T-Birds. Cool. That's cool.
This looks like one of those undrafted free agent prospects, right? Probably what you're going to have here at UDFA. As far as my big board, I added him in, but the only thing I could find, was this right here, 340 on a consensus big board. So
hey, he peaked at 340 though.
Right. He did peak there. Yeah, he's holding steady. So, again, Yeah, that's a bad look there. Even his hands too. It's like
Yeah,
I
It
guess
looks like he's looking for someone to dance with.
it looks like he just got like stumbled upon a spider because that's how I look when I.
to me.
Also,
That's Clayton. That's Clayton boxing out at the buffet line. That's what that is.
That's exactly right. Hey, the Golden Corral, when they bring out that prime rib, that's exactly what I
Hold
look like right there. Well, everybody back.
I'm gonna get about 3 feet of space, guys.
I don't think that we should be drafting anybody from Canada lately. That Canada is not in a. When I think of Canada, I think of the South Park depiction where they're just running. When they show them and their cars all have square wheels and they're just.
Our Canadian listeners right now hate you so bad.
Oh, they probably love me because they know it's true.
There you go. All right. So there were the two visits again. Mason Smith, defensive tackle out of LSU, and then Giovanni Manu out of University of British Columbia. So we'll see if that kind of equals out to anything. Now, the other news today, and Jacob, I know you jumped in here and talked about it right off the bat, was Rob Demovsky on Wildy and Tausch said something. I double checked with Tim. I was like, Tim, man, am I losing my mind, or have I been saying this for 2 weeks? Like this is something we keep talking about, because I heard it from Rob Demovsky like roughly 2 weeks ago. It was at least a week ago. It might've been 2 weeks ago, where he was talking about Zach Tom being a really good right tackle, a Pro Bowl right guard, or a Hall of Fame center. And, today he said it on Wildy and Tausch, and the internet blew up, right? So let's just go ahead and play the clip again. This is from Wildy and Tausch earlier today, where I think Tauscher and Jesse were on location somewhere. Wildy was back at his home in Green Bay, and they had Rob Demovsky on the line asking him about Zach Tom. So let's just go ahead and play the clip here, and we'll all dive into it. I definitely want everyone in the chat, be ready, because I want to get your take on this, because it's a very, very interesting topic.
Think if you had a guess right now at this time, is Josh Myers on this team after when we're looking at, what is it, April 13th today? Is he on this team next year?
No. In fact, I think the starting center is on this team right now, but it's not Josh Myers, the long-term starting center.
Who's it going to be?
I was told by a couple people that within the organization, they think Zach Tom is a really good, is a Pro Bowl right tackle, an all-pro guard, and a potential Hall of Fame center.
Ooh.
So there's your center. Wow.
Ooh. Man, is it nice when it is nice when beat guys bring takes like that. Holy
That's cats. A direct quote from
that is bold. That's quoting someone in the building. Wow.
Yeah, that is not. That's called reporting, Tom.
Wow.
That's not bold predicting.
Jason, did you hear that?
I did. In fact, I've heard that from Rob multiple times.
Yeah, Rob, you're my number one. Hey, Rob, you are my number one. Holy cats. So you're telling me somebody in that front office told you, because I was just saying, Zach Tom gonna have to worry. They draft the tackle. You don't have to worry. He's gonna be, if he wants to be the tackle, he's gonna be the tackle.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of going to the combine and being out late at night and running into people in the building.
What a bold and sexy take that was. Hall of Fame center is what you're telling me. Dwight Stevenson.
Wow.
Dermontti Dawson. Zach Tom?
Well, we'll see.
Wow.
All right, so there you go. And again, I think Wildy was kind of hinting at it there too. Like, you've been on vacation, Tyler. We've been talking about this, right? But it's just crazy because it hit Twitter and just went, ran absolute nuts. Mike Wall chimed in, though, before everybody gets too excited about that. Here's what Mike Wall had to say. I'm going to kill my cam. I got to get up here like Papaw Bailey and read this. Mike Wall said, quote, "People in the organization," end of quote, "might not be the men and women in the personnel department," with the palm face emoji. Mm-hmm. He said, Jason Kelsey, $14.5 million. Lane Johnson, $20.2 million. Packers media hits first take status on this fine Friday afternoon. Right tackles don't agree to $6 million artificial ceiling cap. And he was quote tweeting Cheesehead TV, where Cheesehead TV said, "Offensive line shakeup? ? I was told by people in the organization that they think Zach Tom is a Pro Bowl right tackle, an all-pro guard, and a potential Hall of Fame center. So Mike went on to say, let me drop this ticker down, not to rant, but can you imagine the conversation with Zach's agent about the impending $6 to $7 million drop in average annual value in his next contract? Not to mention the fact it is incredibly easier to find a center than a right tackle. So
this spring, make sure you're eating stress-free with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every single one of Factor's fresh, never-frozen meals is chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Like literally 2 minutes. You can choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, Vegan, and Veggie. And they've got more than 60 add-ons every single week, like breakfast, on-the-go, lunch, snacks, beverages. So there's nothing to wait for. Get started right away. If you're looking for something gourmet, they've got that too. They got premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, truffle butter, broccolini, asparagus. I don't even eat that good. It's also going to be tailored to your schedule. You can customize your weekly meals with the flexibility to get as much or as little as you need, pause or reschedule deliveries to suit your lifestyle. So head over to factormeals.com/PackDaddy50 to use code PackDaddy50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box. That's code PackDaddy50 at Factor. We all have smartphones, and we all know they're pretty amazing, but they also can be amazingly distracting, especially when we're around other people. So US Cellular wants us to reset our relationship with our phones by putting down our phones for $5. That's right, a company that sells phones wants us to put down our phones. And to see what we find, learn more at uscellular.com/built for us.
A little bit of a letdown there with Mike Wall's take, but just want to go around the horn first of all. Let's get everybody's take. I see Tim up there grinning. Tim's loving every minute of this.
What do you guys? The applause, man. We had to give him a round of applause because that's Mike Wall being Mike Wall, 100% authentic. That's how he sees it. It's a great point. It's something that a lot of us haven't considered. However, that being said, I do believe Zach Tom would be a stud at center for sure. I think he could play anywhere on that line. But yeah, there are, contract numbers to consider and a lot of moving pieces. And I like Mike's little subtle dig there at Rob Demovsky, citing a source in the building to be named or never named. Who knows? It might have been a dude filling up the Coke machine in the break room or something that he got the information from. But I love Mike Wall, man. Calls it 100% authentic all the time.
Yeah, I just imagine Rob Demovsky was in the bathroom washing his hands and somebody was back there in the back stall talking on the phone, with their buddy, like, man, what we ought to do is this. And got my source. Let's run with it. Here we go. So, Jacob, what do you think, man? Anything to it? Do you agree with it? Would you like to see them try that? How do you feel? We've talked about this before, and you guys know how I feel about tackle. Tackle is tier 1 of importance, right?
Yep.
So
that's why we just draft Cedric Von Pran, and we're good. We don't have to have this conversation anymore.
You had it half right, Tim. It's actually Zach Frazier, okay? It's funny. We've all got kind of our favorites at the center position. Anyway, Jacob, what do you think about this?
Well, it's JPJ, first of all, the slight both of you. Jackson Powers Johnson should be the center if we're going to take
those two you named aren't going to be on the board.
Thank you, Chris. But I was more thinking along the lines of what Carly Ray is thinking now. It's like, are we going to be drafting a right tackle? That's what Pete said too. Are we looking to, if we are going to kick that guy in? And to be honest, so I'm more of the, as much as I want to think that I'm like an emotional, loving kind of guy, when I really stop and start thinking about the moves I'd make, I'm kind of a goody. I kind of don't care. I'm going to cut your throat. Hey, if you can be a better center, that means we don't have to pay you as much. And also we could get a draft a right guard that could, we don't have to pay him for maybe 2, 3, 4 years. Okay. Right. And so I start crunching numbers and I'm like, man, why would I not play chess with these pieces I have? We have so much talent in the skill positions. We really need to bolster the trenches. That's where my head is at. And I like I said, I'm getting kind of cold-blooded now. I don't like it.
So when you look at the top tackles, obviously Joe Alt peaked at 1. He's currently sitting 9th. Fashanu peaked at 5. He's sitting 14th. Fuaga peaked at 11. He's sitting 15th. Fontana is in the 19 spot. That's as high as he's been.
I think we should watch him. I think that might be a guy that we either trade up for, or if he fall, like I think that might be the one, because he can play. He's like what's his face? They can play apparently a Graham Barton. I think the Packers, if he falls because of all this stuff going on, they could trade up to get him.
Gotcha.
What do you guys think of Patrick Paul out of Houston?
Yeah, he peaked at 37. He's sitting in the 67 spot. Let's see if I can find him real quick on my board. I'll tell you kind of why he falls, where he falls on my board. Patrick Paul, I think he was a little lower on mine, Tim, if I remember right.
Big dude though, 6'8", 329 or something, 330s.
Not too much lower. I've got him in the 74 spot. He was the 65th highest graded tackle in 2022, jumped all the way to 15th in 2023. Consensus Big Board early had him 49th when I took this information. So it was probably right in the middle of him peaking to 37. And then the 33rd team has Patrick Paul in the 44 spot. So that might be a potential 41st or 58th pick, right there. So for me, though, this was interesting. Let me pop this up real quick since we're kind of on the topic of tackle. I want to give a shout out to Steve Cook on Twitter. He tagged me and Ryan in this and said, did the Packers pick? Breakdown by pick, okay? So, again, just wanted to give him credit for sending this over. We appreciate you, Steve. And this is a draft day predictor on ESPN Analytics site. So you can click whatever pick you want, like the 25th pick, and it'll show you who is most predicted to go in that pick right there, right? So the top one is actually Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle. The second highest number here would be Amarius Mims. You know, I've mocked him a couple times. And then Cooper DeJean, then Nate Wiggins, then Jerzon Newton, then Chop Robinson, then Troy Fontenot. So if you look at the two that kind of run away with it here, it's Tyler Guyton and Amarius Mims. So when you look at those guys here on the board, on the big board, then you've got Amarius Mims in the 23 spot, definitely within reach there for 25, although they've got him mocked to number 20 in the consensus database here. Tyler Guyton went number 30 to Baltimore, so that's definitely right there in the ballpark. So if that comment is true from Rob Demovsky, I think that would be the way to go. And again, I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying I disagree with Mike. I understand what he's saying there. I think it's going to be a hard sell on Zach Tom to take that kind of pay hit there, if you will. But if you go out and let's say with the 25th pick, you drafted Tyler Guyton, you plug him in a right tackle, you kick Tom to center, and then you draft another guard, let's say. And like you said, Tim, what if you did try to kick Josh Myers to right guard? I don't know if you can or not. And then let's say you do pick up a Christian Haynes or someone like that in spite of what Peter Bukowski says. Now all of a sudden your offensive line's kind of revamped, right? But what did you think about that graphic there, though? Let's go around the horn with it. Anything stick out to you there, Tim?
I'm sad that Ennis Rakestraw is so far over to the right.
He's the next to last one, isn't he?
Yeah. And and everyone else's sweetheart there, Terry and Arnold, too, is pretty low on that.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. So,
where the hell's Tyler Nubin at right here? This is ridiculous.
See, there you go. There's a little bit of frustration. It goes to show, though, like, you know, this could be completely wrong, too, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Predictor, just like, you know, we like to make our predictions. And really, we don't even do that. We're not like saying, hey, this is who they're going to take. We're just kind of picking favorites here and people that we like. But yeah, it's frustrating to see so many names that I had higher up, you know, for our first pick down on this chart. So we'll see. We got 12 days, like Omer said, right?
Yeah. Prince in the chat says Tyler Guyton is a right tackle and was in for a visit. Let me do a quick little search here of Tyler Guyton and see if he was also a Senior Bowl guy. I'm not sure if he was or not.
I think he was.
Oklahoma.
Let's see here, Tyler Guyton. Where are you at, sir? Why are you running from me? Let's see here, Tyler Guyton. I'm gonna have to do the search. Darn it, the heck!
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
What's going on?
Hold on, Tyler Guyton. According to 33rd team, on the weaknesses side, inconsistent reps, body control in space, body composition. Does that sound like anyone else that currently plays on the offensive line for the Packers?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Guyton, to be honest. If it was up to me, I would definitely Between Guyton and Mims, I keep thinking that we're going to take one of those, and I don't like Mims because the dude's had like 5 games. It's like 8, realistically, I think, that he started. He's a freak of nature, but it's like between him and Guyton, it's like I hate the Packers drafting on potential. Show me what they've done and draft them out of results. It's what I want to do. But
man, Jacob coming in with the hot take there. I like it. Check out my board. This may very well be the pick, guys. And I don't know if it's going to be 25 or not, but of course that's what they were predicting there, right? I've got him in the 60 spot. 204th graded tackle in 2022, 268 in 2023, took a slight step back. Consensus Big Board early had him in the 36th spot. The 33rd team had him at 25. Daniel Jeremiah has him as number 17 in the entire draft with his first top 50 list.
Wow.
He scored well above a 9 in RAS. That checks the box. Again, right around 50% of our draft picks, the last 2 drafts, were at the Senior Bowl, right? And that purple block right there, guys, that means this player was at the Senior Bowl and he was a top 30 visit for the Packers. So this might be who Goody's got his eye on here. If you go off precedent, right? I know this. If Goody takes him, he's 60th on my board. If Goody takes him, then that means he thinks he's well within, the value of the 25th overall pick. I think that pretty much would say, all right, guys, the plan is probably to try to kick Tom into center. Now, he may come into camp if you draft someone like this and they'll not be ready. And if they're not ready, then, hey, you let him sit for a year. You keep Josh Myers at center, and then you work him into that role, right? That's definitely a possibility too. So,
agree with Jacob. Don't put me in charge of the comments.
Just a couple of
okay, Jacob, you do this for a living.
Oh, no. I love it. So, yeah, him at 60, it seems like a reach for 25 for me. But again, Daniel Jeremiah, 17, 33rd team, 25. Who the hell am I to say I'm right and they're wrong? So, going to be interesting there to see how that.
Island blocking on the 33rd team's strength side. So, that's important. That's what you want at a tackle position, right? Either side of the line. Can you isolate that man and just keep him on an island, away from the ball, away from your quarterback? So, I mean, there's and yeah, he's a big dude. He's got the size and he's an athletic freak. So, you're right. It sure looks like a Goody type of pick.
Yeah. Cody McDougal in the chat says, Tim, am I wrong that they tried Zach out at center during camp last year?
They had Josh Myers at center. They had Zach Tom at center. They
had Red Matty at center.
They had Sean Ryan at center. They had Matt Ramage. Matt Ramage played center a few reps. Yeah.
That's a Photoshop. That's a Photoshop right there.
Yeah.
Because his eyes, the defense is
it's him. Ramage was just there like, hold my beer. And that's how it worked. Yeah, no, but yeah, for sure. Zach Tom had some reps, I believe.
Can you imagine running up to the defense as a middle linebacker trying to read Matt Ramage's eyes? Just saying, if he's playing quarterback, distinct advantage.
I love Matty, man. Matty
Matt's
Matty. He's just a national treasure, bro. I'm telling you. It doesn't matter what I got going on. If Matt says, hey, Clayton, come on the show tonight, I'm canceling my pod. Because that dude, anytime we get together.
Why don't we get him on here more?
We need to, man. He
feels like he can fit right in with us.
He's busy doing things. You know what I mean? We've been on a couple podcasts together, and I'm telling you, it's like therapy. It is like therapy. Like I come out every single time I'm in a better mood. Every single time. Because he doesn't take anything too serious, including himself. It's just an absolute blast.
Definitely at the top of my list of people that I most want to run into when I'm at Lambeau, whether that's game day or whatever. That's one of the guys you're hoping you bump into for sure.
Other than like Chris Farley, he's my favorite person I'd want to have a beer with. Like I would just be like, can we just sit here?
And Chris Farley's like one of his like idols too, which
is
so yeah, love it, man. All right, so we hit on that again. Big shout out to Steve Cook. Thank you for sending that over, buddy. You keep that type of information coming. We appreciate it, man. Let's see what else we got here. Let's hit on this mock I did earlier today, and just to kind of explain the theme behind the mock. the goal is to force ourselves to take a specific position with the 25th pick to try to steer the draft in a bunch of different directions, right? So with this mock here that we did on April the 7th, we took Jerzon Newton with at defensive line there at the 25th pick. And then on the 11th, I took Chop Robinson, who fell right in our lap at 25. I think it's a little bit unrealistic, but we'll see what happens there. Now, today, I made myself take a cornerback. I took Kool-Aid McKinstry, and there was someone that I wasn't allowed to take for sure. But we went Kool-Aid McKinstry with the 41st pick. Surprise, surprise, we got Tyler Nubin. By the way, guys, look at that A+ right there. I'm just saying. And doesn't that make that draft a little bit better? But really my favorite pick here was Christian Haynes. What's wild is it came down to, should we draft Christian Haynes and miss out on Junior Colson but get Cedric Gray in the 4th round? Or should we take Junior Colson, miss out on Christian Haynes, and then potentially try to get a lower tier guard with the next pick? But we went Christian Haynes at 58. Then we went tackle Dominic Pooney at the 88 spot. Then we got Bo Limmer in the 91st spot, center out of Arkansas. At 126, we went Cedric Gray, linebacker, Mike linebacker out of North Carolina. With the 169 pick, we took safety Jalen Simpson. At 202, we took halfback Isaiah Davis, who I just added him to my board, by the way. Yeah, Chris, thank you for specifying that, because I think it was earlier today or maybe last night he said it, and I'm like, is he saying he's a bust? He's saying he's going to bust out. So what's crazy is on my board, I finally worked in Isaiah Davis. We've seen his name over and over and over, and we're impressed with the PFF stuff. When I was in, he actually came into the 95 spot on my board. He was the 24th highest graded running back in college football in 2022, the very first ranked running back in college football, according to PFF last year. And then on the consensus big board in January, he was 145th, and the 33rd team had him at 151. So obviously the PFF grades are pulling him way up the board, but again, got him in the 95 spot there. That's interesting. 2-night team, we got Traven Wallace. Again, I think it's a little bit unrealistic to think he's going to drop that far. That's another Mike backer. So we took 2 Mike backers, right? Let them compete. You got your backup Mike. You can have Quay play the wheel. You can have Isaiah McDuffie and Christian Welch and Eric Wilson battle it out for that other linebacker spot there. You got Gabe Hall we took at 245 at defensive line out of Baylor. I thought that was a pretty decent pick. And then, of course, at 255, we went edge defender Miles Cole. So around the horn here, Tim, other than you guys making fun of me for Tyler Nubin, how do you feel about this mock right here, Tim?
I like it. I'm not against taking Christian Haynes like a lot of people are. Kool-Aid, I don't know. I mean, that's another one of those picks, right? If he falls to you at 25, do you take him? You know, I think you do. I'm not super concerned about the foot fracture that he's been dealing with, especially after watching him in his 40s. So Bo Limmer, I like. Arkansas in the house. That's another developmental type move at center. Obviously, we talk about Cedric Gray. Can't say enough about him. Actually, what I think a lot of like sneaky value towards the end of your draft is Trevin Wallace out of Kentucky. That's a linebacker I've had my eye on too. So I like it. I really do.
All right. Mr. That's a dangerous one. He says Christian Haynes isn't that high. Check out other rankings.
We found Bukowski's burner.
So Christian Haynes was the 6th highest graded guard in 2022. He was the 13th highest graded guard in 2023. And you go, that's PFF. Okay. Drop PFF out of the way. Consensus big board, 89. The 33rd team had him in the 47 spot. So you take all that information into account, as well as his +9 RAS, puts him in the 27th spot for me. So we were able to get the 27th best prospect according to my board at 58. I'm eager to see where you think he ranks at there, Mr. Duckskin, to see see your take there. So I'm big on Christian Haynes for sure, though. And you're right, that may be Bukowski, although I don't think Bukowski would ever have a cool dog like that, to be honest.
Yeah, that is a really cool dog.
Like he would have more of a Chihuahua or something.
Yeah. So exactly.
No Chihuahua hate, I'm just saying. So I hate him. Chad Inc. says, y'all want to see a dead body? So anyway, let's see here. M. Smitty says, picking my draft crush in Davis makes this an A++. Let's see. Many mocks have him in the 5th and 6th. Really? Who's mocks? Who's mock drafts?
I'd like to see those because I have never seen that.
Yeah, I've never seen him mocked in the 5th and 6th round. Now, you may be listening to one specific podcaster. That could be the case. Let me you guys talk. Jacob, talk about that draft for a second. I'm going to go to the consensus mock drafts and see where they have Christian Haynes because he may be honest.
I did actually love this draft. What I would do is, other than the last 2 picks, because in my opinion, and again, we're talking right here about how mock drafts are so semi-unrealistic, but in one of those last 2 picks, I wouldn't have went edge. I wouldn't have went D line. I would have probably went linebacker again, and I would have tried to get Kitan Oladapo because apparently in PFF he falls to the 7th round, which again, it's not realistic. So I think that as we're doing this as a little bit of a, we're not actually trying to get mad at you, Duck Skin. We're just trying to put out information. We're not ever gonna jump on people for making claims.
I'm mad as hell. Don't you speak for me, Jake?
What we have to do though is just look at the evidence right now, and it's like there's no way that dude's fallen to the 5th or 6th. Maybe there's a situation where, like, there's an off-field situation, but no, I don't see that as a realistic option. But I do like that draft. Like I said, I would have just changed the last 2 picks. It's my opinion, just positionally.
So in the mock draft database, which takes everyone's mock draft into consideration, the mock draft popularity for Christian Haynes is 17%. He gets drafted number 60 to UConn, or not to UConn, from UConn to the Buffalo Bills. So if we were to go up, I think it usually tells you how many mock drafts are in the system. Doesn't it usually say that? It doesn't say right here. That's 1 week ago too, by the way. So let's go back 2 weeks in case that's what he's referring to. Let's see where Christian Haynes was getting mocked a couple of weeks ago, because he may have recently risen, although I think if anything, he's dropped here lately. Probably right around
there he is.
53. 2 weeks ago in the 53 spot. So yeah, I think you're going to see him somewhere between the 2nd and 3rd round. I don't think there's any chance he sneaks into the 1st round, but could be 2nd, could be 3rd, possibly 4th, but I haven't seen him going in the 5th or 6th.
That's where I would think if he's going to fall, it'd be 4th. That would be pretty shocking, but I don't see anything later than that.
I see mid-3rd. Yeah.
All right. So anything else you want to hit on here, Jacob, with this mock draft that you want to pick apart? We're going to talk about Isaiah Davis here in a second.
No, I kind of like the strategy that you did there. You went with the cornerback first, safety second, and then you went 3 offensive linemen because you just pam.
Bro, I thought I'd get roasted for it, and everybody loved it.
I actually really do love it because it's like you took one of the most glaring needs on this Packers team. I would argue it's safety, cornerback, offensive lineman. And now what you did is pew, hit them all down. Then we got Dominic Puny, who can maybe take over for a guy if we have to kick a guy maybe at right tackle in the center. Bo Limmer, hey, if you need a center that maybe can take over for him so we don't have to keep a guy in the right guard. I think that's perfect. Cedric Gray, absolutely great. Jalen Simpson's the guy that can play in the slot and multiple different positions. Isaiah Davis is obviously awesome. Trayvon Wallace, I'm starting to come around on and might be one of the better Mike linebacker options in this draft. So to get him in the quote-unquote 6, I don't think that's realistic. I think he's going to be 3rd, 4th. And then I don't know the other 2 guys. I do know them, but I don't care.
There you go. All right. See, M. Smitty in the chat said, I would agree Haynes is not lasting that long. In fact, I doubt he makes it that deep into the 3rd, especially if there's a run on offensive linemen. And that's what's going to be interesting is once these players start coming off the board at specific positions, that's when you know, all right, the avalanche is coming, right? So, so as far as Isaiah Davis, I really don't know what to think. Again, he's coming in right there around my top 100 mark. I'm eager to see where Daniel Jeremiah has him. I trust Daniel Jeremiah's judgment over mine, obviously, especially when I'm just compiling information. I'm not actually, going and studying the tape, writing up strengths and weaknesses and that type of thing. But we'll see where he falls. Now, Gabe Hall, we got him in the 245 spot. He's 194 on my board, so I really like that pick. We kind of combed through and found him. So that was interesting. But the thing that bothers me, again, it's either Junior Colson at 58 or Christian Haynes. If I were to tell you deep down, if Cedric Gray hadn't been there, and again, my board is different from most people's. Obviously, on my board, he should have been taken somewhere a little bit earlier than the 70th pick, he being Cedric Gray. So if it wasn't that we were, sitting back going, oh, yeah, we'll definitely get him at 126, I probably would have went with Junior Colson at 58. So this is the two guys that I want to see happen, as far as on draft night. One of these two guys, I want Tyler Nubin or I want Junior Colson. One of those. If we get one of those two guys, I'm feeling really good about the direction this defense is going. Now, if Goody trades up to 16, which we're going to do that tomorrow, obviously we're kind of time here. We'll definitely do that trade up to 16. I know I'm going to hate it because the amount of capital we're going to have to give up. You know what I mean? We're going to lose a pick. And who are we going up after it at 16? Who's the first person that comes to mind for you guys? I'll start with you, Jacob. If you trade up to 16, who are you going after?
DeJean.
Yeah.
Or honestly, if Fontenot. Yeah.
Let's see. Since that's the since you said DeJean, Tim, first of all, who do you think we're going up?
I'm laughing that you're even asking me.
Yes.
You know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Are you gonna say Rakestraw? Dude. I swear to God.
Here's a guy.
Actually, I think we should trade up to 8th and get Rakestraw. Now, Cooper DeJean here, obviously being mocked to the Packers, 24% mock draft popularity. So I know since the measurables, the pro day and all that, probably a decent chance he's going to go before then. Although if you listen to Greg Cosell talk about DeJean, he's a little lower on him, right? So I don't know, man. If I had to pick for 16th, I think it's one of those tackles. I think there's going to be a run on tackles, and I think if they were to trade up to 16, then they would get one of those tackles that they like, whether it's Amarius Mims or a J.C. Latham. Yeah, I could see Arnold too. That might be their favorite corner in the draft, right?
What about a guard? You wouldn't go interior that early?
It's kind of frowned upon to go interior in the first round, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't have any, personal problem with it. But when we look at the mock draft, let's see, Graham Barton is the first one to go at 21. Let's see, Jackson Powers Johnson would be the second one to go at 24. And again, we don't know if this is how it's going to fall, but there's a lot of mock drafts thrown in this database. So those are the only two that it seems like the mock draft database considers being worthy of a first-round pick is Jackson Powers Johnson and before him, Graham Barton. So, we'll kind of keep an eye on that.
JPJ at 25 in one of my mocks. Anything can happen.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to trade up.
Definitely. So, all right, cool. Jake, have you got anything you want to hit on, man? I know you sent me a graphic earlier. Let me go pull that up real quick. I'm going to screenshot it.
Actually, yeah, I'd love to touch on that if you can bring that up. Otherwise, United Base just commented there and he goes, I don't see any value in us trading up. Our bread and butter is after the first round, and I really do agree with that. It's like, let us cook.
Yep.
And if anything, it's like first pick is like, but then like 2nd through 6 is just fire. So why don't we just let that thing cook, man? And then it's another good one. I used to be DeJean or bust. Now I'm O-line all day. I'm almost there with you, bud, but it's either O-line or cornerback. To me, has to be the first pick in the draft, just to set up the logistics of the rest of it. Kind of house.
Get ready for a linebacker, then.
Just gonna say.
It's funny though, Joseph, what you said there, man, because everybody kind of evolves as the draft gets closer, right? You got your favorites, and if you had asked me 2 months ago, all right, who do you hope they take? It'd probably be totally different from where I'm at right now. The more information comes down the pike, and
when we signed Xavier McKinney, I instantly jumped off of that safety in the first mentality. Still a big priority, right? But man, you feel a lot better about the safety room now with him in town. So
yeah, and it tells you what Goody thinks about the safeties in the draft. You go out and go, okay, if we thought we could get a post safety in the draft that's worthy of, an early pick and a potential starter, then you probably don't try to sign McKinney. I bet he looked up and said, all right, this dude, we aren't going to be able to touch anything near the potential that Xavier McKinney has playing post safety, that deep middle safety in a cover one man or a cover three buzz that they like to run out of that kind of that tree from the old Pete Carroll system that's evolved into the Robert Saleh defense there in the New York Jets, and obviously San Francisco kind of carrying on that tradition. So, it's going to be interesting. So I got that screenshot, Jacob. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Is that the one? Is that it? No, that's not it, is it? All right.
Yes. Yeah.
Here we go. So all the Christian Watson haters out there, Jacob, you have the floor, sir.
No, I don't.
Lincoln's not a hater.
Anyways, I just think that this is amazing when people stop and really start to criticize what we have in our wide receiver position. I think it's easy to criticize them because, like you talked about, or like we've talked about, there isn't an actual X or a number one, right? Well, is that a problem, or is that an actual additional plus to like the fact that you don't know who you're supposed to guard on any given play? You don't know who you're supposed to double team. Number two, guys, if you were listening on the pod, Christian Watson's at 12 touchdowns, leading the 2022 draft class in the most receiving touchdowns. Christian Watson's at 12. Romeo Doubs is at 11. Jahan Dotson's tied with him at 11. And then it goes down to George Pickens, Chris Olave, Isaiah Likely, Garrett Wilson, Jake Ferguson, Drake London, and Cade Otton. So, I mean, for those of you listening on the pod, what are you thinking this actually means? I mean, to me, this seems that Goody has been killing it out of the absolute, I mean, just nailing it out of the park with what he does with now these two here are not even there's no addition to Dontavian Wicks, to Bo Melton, guys like Malik Heath, to Jaden Reed. I mean, we are absolutely stacked at the wide receiver position. And to people that are talking about Christian Watson being made of glass and blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, he's done this while he's quote unquote made of glass, while he's being a fragile guy. If he ends up fixing whatever this issue is with that hamstring, this guy is gonna cook. And I'm talking like Emerald, Chef Lagasse, Gordon Ramsay cooking. He's not giving no whats. So I'm just saying.
Here we go.
Tim, what do you think, sir?
I'm with it. I've been saying that about Scoot since he got here. You know, a lot of people want to dog him, but that guy will tilt a game really quick. And, you mentioned the depth we have too. The amount of attention that a guy like Watson draws from a defense is the reason why you see a lot of our other receivers just running butt naked through the trailer park, as Clayton would say. So, yeah, I'm all for it, man. I hope this is the year, year 3 for Scoot, injury free. Let's see, let's see 17 games out of him this year. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Like Durant just said, Durant, Christian's missed 11 games, and he still has the most touchdowns out of that class. Followed again by number 2, Mr. Romeo, we're out thou, Romeo Doubs. Just saying.
Keep in mind,
Romeo
Doubs was taken in the 4th round, the 132nd pick. All right. Christian Watson was a 2nd round pick. Some of these guys, I'm pretty sure George Pickens was a 1st round pick. Chris Olave was a 1st round pick. Garrett Wilson was a 1st round pick. Drake London was a 1st round pick. I'm almost positive those were all 1st round picks. So Goody just in the kitchen cooking, man. He's in there cooking, no doubt about it. Love what Joseph said here in the chat. Dobbs put his foot in the turf in those playoffs. Message sent to Watson and Wicks that will only make more diamonds under pressure, man. Yep. I'm telling you, as the Macho Man Randy Savage once said, the cream will rise to the top. He said it a little more aggressively than that to me, but so we got Jake Shavink in the house. So there you go. Pickens was a 2nd. So I'm pretty sure he was a high 2nd if I remember correctly. I remember everybody talking about he's the best wide receiver in the draft potentially. And I just remember all the horror stories I heard, about him and down, I think it was in Georgia, I believe it was, where he spit on somebody. He got into a fist fight, altercation with the coach. And it was just like, I don't see Goody wanting to take this dude. So
I remember when he got picked in the draft, he was wearing that stupid thing over his face, just staring at the TV like a complete psycho.
Absolutely hilarious, dude.
And everybody's like, is that the same guy that drafted Antonio Brown? No. All right.
I'm trying to think too. It seemed like there was something that Pickens did that was kind of notable in college. I may be getting him crossed up with someone else. There was someone who did historic top stuff in the SEC as far as the.
Jake says he went 52nd. So not quite
52nd, yeah. So there you go, 2nd round pick. Yeah, and I really don't think it's worked out, and it seems like they're trying to cater to him in Pittsburgh. They're trying to make it work with him, and he just, I don't know. It seemed like they had a few problems out of him last year too with his attitude. It was starting to surface a little bit. You would think if anybody could handle him, it'd be Mike Tomlin. But the picture, though, on draft night, Jacob, like you were talking about, freaking hilarious. Dude.
It's just weird.
Standing, I got to pull it up. Y'all say something smart. We got to find it.
SDN 40 here saying, to be fair, 8 of those touchdowns came in a 4-game stretch. Take it for what it's worth. I believe he's talking about Scoot.
Yeah, but you're making my point. Is that he was healthy in that stretch?
Yeah, but it's also how quickly he can contribute when he is healthy, right?
Right.
And like even 2 years ago against Philly, when Jordan Love had to step in, and we just saw it was like he was just keyholing Christian Watson the whole time, and Watson was butt naked through the trailer park, even with safety help over the top, torching the defense. And Philly, they're not known for having a terrible defense, so he's a game changer for sure.
We were hitting at the same time. Read that to him there, Jacob.
He says, but Fields will help Pickens. Help fix him, don't you know? Didn't you know that, Clayton?
Oh my gosh. Let's see here. I got the pick for you here, Jacob. You ain't ready for this, man. We found it. May be a little blurry. I had to screenshot it off the interwebs here, but let's see what we got here, man. This is George Pickens. Tweeted this out as soon as he was drafted. Pat McAfee.
Imagine that's your pick, and that flashes over, and you're like,
right.
Yeah. Feel solid about this one. Yep.
Pat McAfee has talked about that picture more than anything, bro. Like they always crack up when they talk about it. Let's kind of see. I'm going to go back to the mock draft database. Christian Watson was drafted in 2022, right? Am I thinking right? That was the 2022 class. So let's see where they had him mock draft, him being George Pickens and when. So there's Drake London at 15. George Pickens. Me being in the South, too, that may have been where I heard it the most, was everybody was just crazy. The SEC runs so deep down here, man. They're like, it's all that matters down here. And I got to be honest, man, I'm kind of sitting back rooting against them sometimes. So
I can't look at this picture anymore. It's got to come
I love it.
We got to put that other one there. There you go. That's a better one.
Right. Exactly. Let's see if we can go. Let me try it this way. Y'all get ready to wrap this thing up. Give me your parting thoughts, and we'll see if we can find this on the big board here.
I guess I would, Tim, while Clayton's messing around over there on the porridge, what are you thinking of the Joseph? I don't know how to reel. He goes, the elephant in the room is that Watson and Love have a lack of chemistry, basically what he's saying, that they're not on the same page. Needs to stay healthy. Bates disagrees and says, I don't think it's chemistry. It seems to be timing.
That's it right there. I'm with Bates on this one. And that's what happens when you're available, then you're not. And then you're available, and then you're not available. And then you're gone for a month, and then you come back, and it's like, hey, remember what we were doing a month ago?
Yeah.
And everything's just kind of out of whack. When I think of chemistry, the amount of time I spent around the team last year, I didn't get any kind of lack of chemistry vibes between any of the players. It felt like all these guys wanted to just play for each other. So I think Bates is right there. I think it's a timing thing with your reps. You're going to be a little out of sync when you're, inconsistent with your personnel. It just is what it is. But like, the good players they get it going, and they're effective. So I think it's just a timing thing.
Assuming this is what Jake was talking about. Jake Shavink said, who said that, talking about George Pickens being potentially taken in the first round. This was the final consensus big board of the 2022. This was, like I said, right before the draft. So the very last one they had on the consensus big board, George Pickens sitting in the number 32 spot. He peaked at 31. So that's what I was referring to. And obviously I remember us having a chat about it in the Packernet chat at the time. And I was like, man, he's just got a lot of personal issues. And there was someone who pushed back. He'll remain nameless, and then kind of pulled the article up, like this dude over here fighting with coaches and spitting on players and stuff. And like the signs were always there. And then of course, come draft night, what do you get, right? You get this right here, Tim. So right off the bat, bro. So yeah, that's what I was referring to though, Jake. So again, consensus big board isn't everything, but I was looking at him like, yeah, probably going to be a first round pick. Sounds like he's at least flirting with it. So, all right, that pick is going to haunt Tim's dreams tonight. There you go. Tell you what's going to haunt my dreams tonight is anyone who does a mock draft without Tyler Nubin in the 41 spot. Nah, Tim, you got anything else, Bubba?
No, man, this was awesome. I got nothing. I'm still seeing that pick. I can't. I feel like I'm gonna go upstairs and I'm gonna see him standing in the corner looking at me or something.
Let's give you something a little more wholesome here. As Christine said, honey. There you go, man. That's the one. Right? Let's see here. M. Smitty says, Clayton, where was Watson sitting at? Talking about Christian Watson, I imagine, right? Well, let's climb down here. I think he was pretty much always in the second. Yeah. He peaked at 33, and at the time he was 41st on the consensus big board. So
that was the one and only time that I've ever called a shot. And I went in for Watson for months before he got drafted. And then when they announced it, I was over the moon. The moon.
And I had stepped away from the stream at the time, where I wasn't on there at the time, and I came in and everybody was going nuts. And it was like, yeah, they traded up and got Watson. I was like, really? Holy cow. I was downstairs doing something responsible while y'all were up here just talking about your silly foosball. Anyway, M. Smitty said, Clayton, where was Watson sitting at? So there you go, man. 41. He peaked at 33. There was something else in here, too. Here we go. I like this one. M. Smitty says, Clayton's going to trade up to number 1 with the Bears and grab Newton. There you go. And then Chad Inc. asks a basketball question. He says, Clayton, how do you feel about Calipari going to Arkansas? Talking about the basketball coach of Kentucky going to Arkansas. I personally liked it, Chad. They were going to be on the hook. And I'm not a basketball fan, but my mother-in-law is like the biggest Kentucky basketball fan. So she's been keeping me up to date. But there was going to be a huge buyout. And in this case, they didn't have to do the buyout to the best of my knowledge. He kind of went out, got the offer, decided to leave. They parted ways. I thought it was classy how he left. He basically told him, hey, look, it's time for another voice. I think it's cool when, whether it's professional sports or college, collegiate sports, that, two groups can kind of come together and just be civil about it, be mature about it, right? Not go down the route that we had to go with Brett Favre and the organization back in the day in Green Bay, where they were just, he's on Greta Van Susteren running them through the mud, and the Packers brass is trying to keep their mouth shut. They're just trying to patch everything together. It was just such an ugly divorce. So I thought it was handled the right way. I had the opportunity to actually listen to Calipari at a business conference. He was hired to come in and speak to us about, I don't know, something like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 different business owners in the room. And he just seems like a stand-up dude. I know he's kind of gotten a bad rap over the years, but one thing he said that I use every day in life, try to use every day in life, he said it was basically, what's his name? The dude that did the interview for the podcast with Tom Brady. Oh, it's his name is eluding me right now. He has been all over sports his entire career. He's like always been right in the middle of stuff. I can't remember his name. Anyway, you guys may know Tom Brady did a podcast, and this guy was like the co-host of it. Anyway, he asked him, he said, you got a room full of business owners. What advice do you have for them when things don't go the way you expect them? And Calipari said, the best advice I can give, and this is what I always do, anytime something goes awry, something goes wrong, I'm not happy, I get depressed, something falls through, I immediately stop what I'm doing and think, who can I help? How can I help someone? How can I do something for a charity? How can I reach out and help this person, add value to someone else's life? And it's amazing how your problems just kind of disappear. I thought that was really cool, really good piece of advice. So I think Calipari is a class act, Chad. And again, there's people mad because this is a Packer podcast and we're talking Kentucky basketball, but I hate basketball with a passion, boys. I'm just telling you right now. I can't stand to watch it. Everybody flopping around. The NCAA tournament's awesome, but man, yeah, Jim Gray, you got it, Bates. Jim Gray, that was it, man. God, Bates is like this wealth of knowledge, dude. Unbelievable. Yeah. So Jim Gray, it was a really cool interview for sure. So there you go. I agree, Joseph. Excellent advice, man. Good things happen when you take your eyes off yourself, man. The problem is we're all human and we fail to do it more times than not, right? We all get caught up in it. So, all right, let's get out of here. We'll be back in the morning for Good Morning Lambeau. I don't know. I think, Tim, you're out tomorrow. You got plans, right, buddy?
Yeah, I'll be out. Probably back for the evening show, though, but not in the morning.
Good deal. Jacob, you available in the morning? You date mocking it tonight.
I want to try to make it. We'll see. I think
that's all. That helps me a lot. I appreciate that, Jacob. We'll kind of see if you can get in here. You know what I mean? So,
hi, I'm Date Mike. Nice to meet me.
Well, you know Emilio's not going to be awake, so you guys might be stuck with me going solo in the morning. Emilio's going to be
Emilio guy. Just can't get up, can't go to work. What a lazy guy.
In Emilio's defense, he's been out there battling the weather all week trying to do landscaping. I'm just telling you, it's been bad.
And race car beds do not move well in the rain.
They don't, man. That is not all-wheel drive.
Perfect.
Not all-wheel drive right there, boys. There ain't no all-wheel drive with that stuff. You got to do what you got to do. But, all right. We're out. Tim, Jacob, appreciate y'all hopping in here with me, man. This was a lot of fun. Too much squeaking in basketball is what Carly racing. So true.
I hate that noise.
So yeah, constantly. Yeah. All right, everybody have a wonderful evening. We'll see you for Good Morning Lambo tomorrow. Special shout out to all the Patreon. We actually had a new Patreon member just the other day. Let me pull it up real quick. I need to get better at this, man. I appreciate y'all supporting the stream. And that's the way we're going to do it. Again, a quick reminder, guys, if you have a subscription, if you have not a subscription, but if you're a member here on YouTube, cancel it, okay? If you're a member of the PTA Posse on YouTube, cancel it, because at any point they could remonetize the channel and you're going to hit with that charge of that membership. And we don't want to see that happen. We just kind of shifted everything over to Patreon. So if you want to hop over there, you can click on the link in the description of this video. That'll send you to Patreon. You'll see the link in there. It's just Packer Fan Total Access. You can search that through Patreon and find it too. But a special shout out to Chris, who just became a member of the PTA Posse over there at Patreon. We'll make sure you're entered into the giveaway there on round 1 of the draft this year. Probably do it around pick 10, maybe the midpoint of the first round, possibly. We're going to do a drawing for an autographed Paul Hornung jersey for all of the Patreon members. Anyone who is a member there, we'll put you on the wheel, and we'll give that away to one lucky listener that's supporting the show. So we got some other cool giveaways coming up too. We're going to try to do some charity stuff. I'm excited about digging through and trying to find some charities worth donating to it. Not that any aren't worth giving to, but I'd like to find those people that are kind of down on their luck to see if we can't do something to help them. So, yeah. Cody McDougal in the chat. You get a ticket for not wearing a helmet, Emilio. There you go. Emilio ain't scared. All right. This is what we need now on the passenger side, or no, on the back seat. See how the back seat? See how he's
open?
This is what we need in the back seat. We need him in the seat. That would be perfect, right? Could you imagine that? M. Smitty, make it happen. We need
M. Smitty. Put him reverses. Yeah, reverses stance. Put him right behind Emilio.
Back seat. Got to make it happen. Smitty, we're depending on you, buddy. All right. We're counting on you. We need you. Come through in the clutch.
Lord.
All right. This show sucks. We're out of here. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.
The power sweep actually is the lead play in our offense. We ask our YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet. Get an isolation with the linebacker. You tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here. Try to run this play in the alley.